Thanks be to God.
Then he told them, "Draw some out now and take it to the head waiter." So they took it. And when the head waiter tasted the water, it had become wine, without knowing where it had come from, although the servers who had drawn the water knew. The head waiter called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves good wine first, and then when the people have drank freely, an inferior wine. But you have kept the good wine until now." Jesus did this at the beginning of his signs at Cana in Galilee, so to reveal his glory, and his disciples began to believe in him. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
When Chris, Mike, and I got together, we met a couple times to prepare for the wedding. One of the first discussions I had with them was, "Tell me where you met." They proceeded to tell me that they met at a bar in September of 2008. Now, if you remember, I asked them, well, what was the common thing? What was the common thread? They said they wanted to see the Phillies. And if you remember, that was when the Phillies were in the stretch drive to get into the playoffs. And as we know, they not only got to the playoffs, but they won the World Series. Me, being a big baseball fan, knew right away we were going to get along just fine. In the Gospel today, we hear about the wedding feast of Cana. We hear about the Lord in John's Gospel first revealing himself to the world, telling the world that he is the Son of God. That's why we are here. We are here because Chris and Mike are revealing themselves, their love for each other in front of the church and in front of the whole world. For that's what it is, that's what marriage is love. We also hear in the wedding feast, we hear about the Blessed Mother. And we hear about what the Blessed Mother does. What the Blessed Mother does is what she always does. She hears of a problem, and she sends it to her son. And then she says to the waiters, "Do whatever he tells you." For that's what we are to do. We are to give our love and our prayers and our concerns to the Blessed Mother. And then listen to do what the Lord tells us to do. And Chris and Mike, that's what you must do. Bring your love and concern in your marriage to the Blessed Mother, and then listen for what the Lord tells you to do. In the first reading, we hear about the love of a virtuous woman. Now, virtue is something that we should all have, and it's a gift from God. Virtue is truth and justice with mercy. For we all must have virtue to live our lives and our married life. Yeah, virtue is a gift, and so is marriage. Marriage is a gift that we receive from God, and then we give to each other. For you see, it is the bride and the groom who are the ministers of the marriage. Marriage is the only sacrament in which the people are the ministers and receive the sacrament. That is why the bride comes down the aisle and the groom meets him at the foot of the altar. For my part, I'm witnessing the wedding. I'm here to say that the marriage was sacramental for the church and it was legal for the state. Now, virtue is a wonderful thing. Today we celebrate the memorial of St. Monica. Now, St. Monica was said to be a very virtuous woman, and she prayed for 30 years for two men. Sorry, Chris. She prayed for her husband, and she prayed for her eldest son. These two men, I say it real nicely, were mean people. They were not mean. They were not nice. So she prayed for 30 years for these two people. And ultimately, her husband turned to the Lord, and so did her son. Now, we know her son better as St. Augustus. So we must pray to the Blessed Mother and St. Monica to intercede for us today. And then, of course, we have the second reading. Love is brave. Love is peaceful. Love is kind. Love is not jealous. It is not self-seeking. For that's what marriage is love. Love is hard work. Love is something we need to work on each and every day. For love is always will get you through everything. And marriage is not something where you find somebody who you can live with. Marriage is finding someone you can't live without. Because once you marry and you form, two really do become one body, one soul, one spirit. My prayer for you, Chris and Mike, today is that you allow the Blessed Mother and St. Monica into your marriage. Listen to the Lord. And remember, love bears all things, endures all things.